Oh, hey, Owls. This is my barn cat, Whiskey. Whiskey is a powerful tool, a very good tool for a barn. Because what Whiskey does is she takes care of a lot of the little mice and other little varmints that trying to get into the house. So she's a very important tool for our farm. But what I wanted to talk about with Whiskey today is that she's a living thing. And she needs a few things to be able to survive. One of those things is she needs to eat food. We do need to provide her with food on occasion. So we have a bowl of food in the barn here that she eats from, and we fill up from time to time. But she also takes in mice and other varmints, and that's what she eats. She also needs another thing. She needs water, and she also needs to breathe in order to survive. So that's what we're going to kind of talk about today. As we read in our book, What's Alive, are things that basically living things need to survive. There are three basic things, and we're going to learn about those today after we read. So I'm going to turn to page 15 here. I'm going to read a few pages, then we'll talk a little bit more about this. A baby bird hatches from an egg. It is called a chick. The chick's mother and father feed it. It breathes air in and out through small holes in its beak. The chick is alive and growing. Chicks and birds use the energy from food and water and air to fly or hop along the ground. Birds and cats are animals. You are an animal. All the animals are living things. Yes, believe it or not, you are an animal too. Trees and flowers are also living things, but they are not animals. Trees and flowers are living things called plants. Plants cannot run or jump or fly. They do not eat or drink or breathe the way we do, or the way a cat does. But they do need water, air, and food. And they can grow, they can move and grow. So yes, believe it or not, plants are also living things. And yes, they also need food, water, and air, but they don't take it in the same way that we do. We're going to learn about that on the next page here. Trees and flowers begin as seeds when they are still small. Trees and flowers are called seedlings. The seedlings grow roots. Roots take in water and nutrients from the soil. The seedlings grow leaves. Leaves help plants to breathe in a special way. If you look at the underside of a leaf with a magnifying glass, you will see tiny holes. Plants take in air through these tiny holes. So what the book discussed today is, yes, animals and plants are both living things. You think of plants like trees, and shrubs, and flowers. They're a living thing. They also need to take in water, air, and food, but they do it in a little bit different way. So like some plants, what they're talking about in the book here is that most plants have leaves, and on the underside of the leaf, they have little tiny microscopic holes that you can only see with a magnifying glass, and that's how they take in air. Now, plants also take in food through their roots and also through their leaves. They need water and air. So if we don't water our plant, it's going to die. But also with animals, if we don't take in water, we become dehydrated, and eventually we can die. And if we don't take in food, we starve, and eventually we can die. So we also need air, and we breathe that in through our lungs. So the three things we all need are air, water, and food in order to survive. So today, what I want you to do is you can go outside for this task, and that's probably what I recommend you do. What I want you to do is I want you to find one example of an animal that's outside. Now that could be a dog, it could be a cat, it could even be yourself. It could also be a squirrel, anything you see outside. I want you to draw a picture of it and label it. Then I also want you to find an example of a plant. It could be a flower, although not a whole lot of those are growing right now. It could be a tree. It could be some grass that you're sitting in. Those are all examples of plants. I want you to draw a picture of both those things and label them. And I also want you to label what they both need to survive. One thing that they both need to survive. So here, I have one of my goats. I drew a picture of my goat. And in front of the goat, I drew a picture of hay because goats eat hay to survive. That's one of the foods they eat. In the summertime, after I'm done feeding hay, since grass doesn't exist in the winter, in the summer when grass is growing, that's what goats eat in order to survive. And then I also drew a picture of a tree here. And trees take in food from the ground. They also take in food from their leaves in the form of sunlight, but they take in food from the ground. And I labeled it that they both eat. Okay? Now, your example could look very different from mine. It could be two totally different things. And it also could be one of those things that we discussed, air, water, or food, that you label it with. So it could be they both take in air. They both take in water. That's what I want you to label. So something a little bit like this, but you can come up with your own creation if you like. All right? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me on email, over Teams, whichever. Have a good day.